Hi everyone and welcome. I'm so glad you're here, and to those just arriving, welcome to this little fake corner where we create a little magic. In this video, I'm sharing the full process of creating a little mushroom character in Spun Cotton, something I haven't really seen shown in this much steps and detail online before and for free. So this video is perfect for anyone who wants to dive a little deeper into the Spun Cotton process and stretch their skills. And before we jump into supplies, I should tell you somewhere in this video there is a little surprise hidden for those who might be interested in my Spun Cotton guide. In the top right corner you'll see the supplies listed while I'm talking about few things you asked me before. I'm using aluminum wire and it is uncoated, medium strength but easy to shape. The wire shouldn't be too weak unless you are working a miniature piece, and in that case you can go with a, let's say, pipe cleaner. A few people ask me what exactly do I use when it comes to wool cotton, and I usually use a local brand called Lotus, and it is really great quality. Sometimes I work with a Turkish cotton or German brand, you can see here a little bit later. But I have worked with even some really poor quality ones and still managed to make all kinds of things. So I don't think this is a big concern. If you can get something of a decent quality, that is great. But simple wool cotton from a drugstore is perfect, trust me. I'll also be using a small piece of raw cotton fiber for the hair, but that is optional. It's totally fine if you don't have it. You can do it with a simple wool cotton. Today I'm using cornstarch glue and wood glue, and in one of my recent videos I shared more about different glues for spun cotton, so you can check that out. I will link it here somewhere in these corners. I will write everything in the description of this video, and now we could start. My mushroom character is about 6 inches tall in a seated position, and for this model you'll need a piece of wire around 35 inches long, though I had a little extra here. Gently fold the wire in half and form a loop for the head. Then twist the wire about 2.5 inches more, and as I'm showing, create the framework for the legs. I should say that I could have left these extra bits a bit higher for the arms, but never mind, you can do that. Now take a fairly large piece of wool cotton and pull it apart lengthwise into stripes like this. We'll be wrapping this cotton around the wire skeleton and gently shaping the body of the figure. Try to work so the cotton doesn't fall apart and isn't too loose. You can try to gently press it with your hands also. The cotton might break if you pull it too tight, but that's okay, just keep going. You can also add a bit more volume to the hips, since that will be the figure's balance point when it's sitting, and it will be more stable that way. Now we'll wrap all of this with thread. We'll work gently, section by section. You don't need to pull the thread too tight, but it shouldn't be loose either. If at this stage you notice some areas are getting too thick, remove the extra cotton. We won't be sculpting detailed fingers or toes, we'll just suggest it symbolically. For example, we'll shape the hands later, so there is a thumb and the rest of the hand will be stylized into a single form. After all, this is a little mushroom, and who says she should have 5 fingers? Now we can attach the wire for the arms. Take a longer piece of wire, wrap it around 2 or 3 times around the upper torso, straighten the ends and bend small loops that will be the hands later. Now, using the same logic, we'll wrap the wire that will become the arms, and then we'll add 2 or 3 layers of wool cotton to the head. By the time we wrap it with a thread for the last time, it should have an oval egg-like shape. And now I'd like to briefly share again about my Spun Cotton guide I'm working on. It will be sweet, informative, filled with my drawings and illustrations. More than anything, I want it to be inspiring and to spark your own creativity. And here is a little gift for those watching this video. You will receive 20% discount for this guide in digital form. If you are interested, just leave a yellow heart and a mushroom in the comments. This Spun Cotton guide should be finished and published this fall season. I think it is a perfect timing for the colder days when our creative juices are high and when we are maybe a little more indoors, so we can dedicate that time to ourselves and make something for our autumn and winter decor, and maybe prepare some unique gifts for our loved ones. I think I'll also be able to put together a more elaborate winter workshop on the theme of a fairy tale inspired winter decor with several elements. I'm still working on the idea and will certainly announce it once it's ready. We are now almost ready forming the base for the little doll. Prepare your glues. First, we'll use cornstarch glue to coat the entire figure so that the cotton hardens. You will need a whole small jar like this of cornstarch glue for this project. We'll need a stronger adhesive alongside this one, so you can use maybe school glue undiluted, but I always stick to the wood glue because it dries quickly, it's really strong and leaves no marks when it's dry. Now I'm bending the legs into a sitting position and slowly adjusting the whole figure into the pose I want, while keeping its stability in mind the entire time. We can wait for everything to dry a little, but you can go ahead and add a layer of wool cotton over the whole figure right away. If your figures feels unstable, add a few more layers around the hips again and at the sitting area. Now I'm working on the face, adding cotton to the area where the cheeks, chin and nose should be. Add just a little at the time and then layer thinner piece of cotton over everything to smooth out the surface. This will be the first stage and we'll need to come back later to refine it a bit, but what is most important is to understand the logic of building the facial anatomy. Our model here doesn't have very refined features, and that is intentional because if you are doing this for the first time, you don't want to feel overwhelmed. On the second little mushroom, you will see that the facial features are finer and can be even more detailed. But for now, this will be sweet and charming as it is. As you can see, I've added the thumbs on the side of the hands and secured it with layers of cotton. And when I come back to refine the face, I'll add a few more layers to the hands again to further strengthen the thumbs and shape the silhouette of the hand. The figure is now partially dry and I'm working again on the face and limbs to refine and emphasize the areas that still need some attention. Now, when it comes to drying, you can let the figure dry naturally or speed up that process by placing it in a preheated oven. Be careful not to bake it. The best method is maybe to heat the oven to the max and turn it off and then place the figure inside to dry. Next, we will work now on a little mushroom cap. Prepare 2 pieces of a wool cotton about the size of the palm and generously coat them with cornstarch glue. First, press the 2 layers together like a sandwich, then coat both other sides. While it's still damp, shape it into a circle and smooth the edges. Gently bend it downward with your hands and place it on something to dry. Once this base is dry, we'll work on a texture underneath. I believe it is called gills. What we'll do now will also be used for creating the little dress for the character. We will separate the stripes of a wool cotton and with plenty of glue and the help of a brush, press and thin them out. In this way, we'll get cotton that we can drape like a fabric. I will make several of these more gathered pieces and let them dry separately, because later I will use them for the dress for the mushroom. We could also work directly without drying them first, but in that case we need to be very patient since each part has to dry before adding more layers. Otherwise it might get ruined while it's still damp. And that's why I came up with this method, so you can work and be more freely without pressure. Right away, I'll lightly tint the inside with a shade of brown watercolor and then add a few darker accents. You can also do all of this later or right away using coffee instead of watercolors. Now I'm moving straight away to acrylic paint for the surface. I'm using vermilion red from two different brands, and the shades are actually quite different. One leans more toward a rouge red, while other is closer to the cinnabar tone. I couldn't decide which one to use, so I mixed them together. You don't have to use acrylic at all if you are a fan of watercolor, for example. Now I'm returning to the face, painting it along with hands and feet in light pink, just white with a touch of red mixed in, and then I'll add some red accents in the cheeks and nose. I will show you here two facial expressions and how I paint them. The first is a bit more expressive and raw, while the second is softer and closer to the second mushroom. I am only using brown, white and touch of a black paint here. You might want to check the video where I paint the eyes of the cat. It is the same principles applied here, and if you like the more realistic look, then it might be interesting to you. You have seen how the head's anatomy here is actually rough and imperfect, but color can truly create magic. That's why I encourage you to take a little time now and then for sketching, observing and experimenting. It can be truly helpful and liberating. You can tell me in the comments what your biggest challenges are when it comes to painting. For example, my biggest challenge in the past was when I stepped away from my drawing routine and allow myself not to draw for a month or more. That really affects my sense of ease, my ideas and my general feeling of well-being. Now, while I'm working on this expression, notice how it changed when I replaced the brown shadow on the upper eyelid with pink. The face immediately becomes softer and less dramatic. You can apply this on your other projects. Now I'm working on a second expression because I wanted to bring it stylistically closer to the other character, so they feel like they belong in the same story. I had thoughts about making them different genders, but somehow I ended up with one more girly mushroom. I have added some white accents here and there, and now we will dress the doll. Remember those gathered pieces I mentioned when we made the little mushroom cap? They are now completely dry. Ideally, it would be much better if they retained just a bit of moisture, so they'd be easier to work with. And now I will have to lightly moisten them before I add the glue. I will be using wood glue now because it is much stronger and the cornstarch glue wouldn't be effective enough. I am brushing the cotton pieces with glue and patiently sticking and shaping them around the body parts. It will take a bit of patience to get some parts to stay in place, but you can work quite relaxed since the folds won't easily get ruined like they would be if the cotton were completely wet. Until we gain a bit more routine and skill, I recommend this method for starting out. In spun cotton, we can create all kinds of textures and clothes, but I think this is perhaps the most relaxed approach and still very effective. While dressing your character, also pay attention to its stability and occasionally check how it stands or sits in this case. If you enjoy experimenting with different materials or you are a mixed media artist, you can try using lightweight fabrics or tulle for this part while keeping just the body in the spun cotton. Handling textiles isn't exactly the simplest. You can take my word for it, as I have plenty of experience with that. Maybe I'll touch on that topic sometimes in the future. I don't know, maybe not. I forgot to mention that for the face you can use molds, which will make everything look even smoother. But I really enjoy sculpting and painting every detail by hand. This way it creates a nice unity and harmonizes beautifully with other decorations and creation in this technique. Once everything is dry, I'll coat the entire figure with black coffee, all except the face. Then I'll add another color, and once everything is dry, I'll accentuate each detail of the figure with white. When we are making these white accents, it is best to do this with a completely dry brush and just a little paint, repeating the process until all surfaces are covered. You'll see here some areas turned green because of the coffee can do that, but it'll be neutralized and transformed into interesting effects. But if you don't want to work with a coffee, choose a shade from your watercolor palette and use plenty of water to shade the folds of the costume. Just remember to add the white accents at the very end when everything is dry. They will help soften any strong tones and also highlight textures. And here we are almost at the end. All that is left is to do is to add the hair. I will use raw cotton fiber from a cotton flower. First I need to clean it from seeds, and unfortunately there will be quite a bit of fiber loss. You can also use regular wool cotton or even some kind of a synthetic fiber for durability. I will spray mine with the protective varnish, hoping it will last and stay protected. And I'm attaching everything with a wood glue again. Okay, so this was a little marathon and I couldn't make this video shorter because I wanted to share as much information as possible. I hope that this has been inspiring to you and that you'll try to create something similar. If you do, it would be wonderful if you shared it here in the community post. I'll be so happy to see that. If you enjoyed this, you can check out some of my other tutorials here and I'll see you again. I can't say soon anymore since creating this video took me much longer than I planned, but what can you do? Bye!